Hi! On this video we will create a page to display the designs which the user has already added to his favorites list earlier. The user will be able to reach this page by clicking his account's name, then go to the favorites page. Afterwards, he should be able to remove any particular design from the page. So in order to accomplish this mission as fast as possible, I will take advantage of what I have already done on the default.aspx. So let's copy this file and go to the account folder and paste it. And let's rename this file favorites.aspx. Okay, now let's double click it and pin it and modify all of those references here by adding double dots slash. Since this file is no longer on the root folder, we have to modify all of those connections here. And let's remove the jumbotron as well, and we will no longer need the default.js, and the sort by will also be removed, since the default sort by will be by the date the user has added this design to his favorites. So I will remove this thing as well, and the user should only be able to delete the design from his favorites list, but he shouldn't be able to make it first or control its visibility. Okay, now let's add one important thing here, which is the user menu. So the user menu has to be added at the top of the page. Okay, and since we have added this user menu to the favorites list, we have to modify its design by adding a new hyperlink to it. So Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and let's give it the name favorites, and the URL will be favorites, and the text displayed is my favorites. Okay, and let's save and close. Okay, now if you go to the code behind page, you can find the problem here. So you should rename this one from default to favorites, but still you will find some errors here. So go back here and rename this as well to underscore favorites. Okay, now the errors will go. I don't need all of those code here, so I will comment it, and I will add one line of code here. So user menu dot current page favorites. Now let's rebuild our project, and let's go to the username. Now my favorites has appeared on the menu, so if you click it, the page now is empty. If you want to see how the page is looking like, I will uncomment this line and rebuild, refresh. Okay, now this is how the design is looking like, with only one button to control, which is the delete button. And as you may have noticed, the thumbnails are not centered inside the wrapping div elements as they did inside the default page. Okay, now let's delete all of those code here, and let's go here on the design and modify our SQL select command. Okay, so click here and then go to the query builder and take the table favorite and the table design only. Now I want the design ID to be displayed, design name, design number, description, visible, area, and from the favorite table I want to add a condition here for the user ID and to order the favorites by date. The first condition here is user ID has to be equal to a parameter called user ID, which we will determine its value later, and the designs will be sorted by date descendingly in order to make the latest design added to the user favorite displayed as the first one in the list. Now I will modify something here. I will give this table the alias of F and give the design table the alias of D. Okay, by clicking OK, then open the query builder again. you will find that Visual Studio has replaced the names of the tables with their aliases. Don't forget to wrap the area here inside a function called isNull. So isNull d.area and 0 as area, and don't forget the thumbnail as well. So I will add here select top one from data.design file as df, where df.designid equals d.designid and df.category equals n image. Order by sort index descending order as icon URL. And don't forget to wrap this subquery inside isNull, so in case there is no current image for the design, the following will be returned. Okay, now let's click on OK, next, next, and test the query by entering this user ID. Okay, if you encounter an error, the first thing to do here is copy this query and paste it here in order to know precisely what is the error. So let's execute here. Incorrect syntax from. So where is the from here? Select top one. I haven't determined what to select, so icon URL. Okay, let's copy and paste here. Now let's click on next. Test the query. Control C, Control V. Okay, let's see the icon URL. Okay, the user ID. So let's click on finish, and on the code behind page I have to modify the page load event. So in the page load I will dim user ID as string equals user dot identity dot get user ID. And the reason the get user ID is available on the list is that I have already imported the Microsoft.asp.identity. Okay, now SQL repeater designs dot select parameters. Which parameter? The user ID dot default value equals user ID. Okay, now let's rebuild our project, refresh our page. Okay, everything works perfectly. However, this image is not displaying properly, so I will go here and go to the source, and this is the add to favorites anchor. And actually there is no sense behind keeping it inside the favorites page. So I will delete this hyperlink altogether. Save all and refresh. Okay, now we have the delete button, which should remove any design from the favorites list. So this delete icon has a panel edit product which has a data ID equal of eval of design ID. Actually, if we return back to our select command, I want to make sure that I have already included the favorite ID. So I will include the favorite ID here, and I will give it an alias as favorite ID. Okay, click OK, next, next, and finish. So if you go to the source here, I will set the data-id to the favorite ID. Okay, now let's save all, refresh our page. If we right click here, inspect, so the panel edit product has the data-id of 3, which is this record here. Okay, now let's go to the gws.asmx and add a new method. I will call our new method remove from favorites, and by val favorite id as integer, and I don't need all of those codes here. I will type just one line of code, which is db.database.execute SQL command, and write simply the SQL command you would have written inside SQL Server Management Studio. So our command will be delete from data.favorite where id equals ampersand favorite id ampersand double quotations. That's all you have to type. As an alternative way, however, you could have typed the following code instead. But obviously, typing 2 lines of code is more better than typing 4. Okay, now let's go to the favorites.aspx and enter a new script here. And I'm not going to type our script for that page inside a separate file, as our script will be quite short. So script type equal text JavaScript. Okay, and let's copy some scripts here from the default.js. Let's copy this line first and paste it here. Let's also copy the adjust thumbnail position, which has the task of centering the thumbnail image inside its wrapper div element. So copy this one and paste it here. Then on page load, the first thing to do is adjust thumbnail position. Then I will locate here each hyperlink has the data action delete. So let's copy this one and paste it here inside brackets. So any hyperlink has the attribute data action equal delete got clicked. Do the following: invoke the post function. So jQuery.post function, the first argument, the first parameter will be the path of the GWS plus the method's name. So the method's name here is remove from favorites. Paste it here. The second parameter will be the favorite ID. So favorite ID will be equal, we forgot here to var the clicked item, because as I have already discussed earlier on a previous video, that once you get inside the post function, the term this will no longer represent the clicked item. It will represent the function post instead. The clicked item dot parent dot data ID. So the parent of this clicked item is a panel edit product, which has the data ID eval favorite ID. The last parameter will be function. So in case of success, do the following: this dot closest which element dot panel product. So it will search among the ancestors of the clicked element until it finds the element which has the class of panel product and detach it. Okay, but let's add a confirmation message here. So before I add this, I will add a confirmation message. I will use here the jQuery UI dialog plugin, and we already have the confirmation dialog div, but let's change its literal message. So let's copy the dialog confirm ID. So the dialog confirm dot dialog, this will fire the plugin, and the plugin has the parameters. The first one is resizable. The resizable property will be set to false. The model property will be set to true, and the buttons will be 2 buttons. The first one is a remove, which will have a function associated to it, and the second button will be cancel, which has associated function as well. And the function of the cancel here will be simply this dot dialog close. All what will happen is that the dialog box will close. I will have to copy the same line here into the remove as well. So at the end the dialog should be closed. At the beginning this code should be run. So Control X, Control V, and uncomment those lines. Okay, now let's rebuild our solution, refresh our page, then click on the delete icon here. The message will appear. If I click cancel, it will disappear. If I click on remove, something happened here. So let's inspect and go to the console. I have a server error here. Remove from favorites. Okay, I think I know what is the problem. The ID should be in small letters. Let's save all and let's refresh our page again. Okay, now let's test by adding a new design to the favorites. So let's add this design, for example, and go here to the favorites list. Okay, we have 3 by now, but what will happen if the user doesn't have any designs to display? For example, if I log in with another user, by clicking here and clicking on my favorites list is empty. And this is not a professional way to display the page. So in order to handle this situation, I have already prepared a panel here that I will paste at the beginning before the dev designs. So this is a panel, ASP panel, ID equal panel empty. This is a panel and its visibility has been set by default to false. Now let's go to the code behind page and run a test here. So dim db as new 101. Okay, now let's dim another variable called favorites count equals db dot favorites dot where function m, where m dot user id equals user id dot count. If favorite count equals 0, then panel empty dot visible equals true. Let's save all, rebuild, refresh our page. Okay, now it's looking okay, and I think I have placed it outside the dev designs, so let's move it actually inside the dev designs in order to have a border. So Control X, Control V, save all, refresh. Now it's okay. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please press like.